This is a movie that emphasizes the fact that it's being handmade.
I loved the way it looked because it was so different. He just made things that I found incredible. I'm Gregory Mann. I play Pinocchio, and we're going to go behind the animation.
Pinocchio is a tale that has lived through the centuries. I thought would be interesting to do about becoming who you are, not transforming yourself for others, which goes counter to the traditional take on Pinocchio. And also, can something that was never alive become human? And what makes us human? We wanted to create a movie about a puppet executed by using puppets to tell the tale.
We did this shot where we're introducing Volpe, who's one of our villains, and it involves Spazzatura the monkey, and he comes down on this line, runs through this whole carnival, past wheels and over barrels and through weightlifters and up to this wagon. All of that was very much influenced by the way Guillermo shoots live action films.
The camera equipment rigs, the character rigs, and the prop rigs all moving. At the same time, most of the characters will have a small crane behind them. And Spazzatura is going to jump and roll, and amongst those characters, we have to negotiate basically a clockwork operation to make that shot happen.
It was such a complex scene. It took us about 2 months to set it up, and it took about a month to shoot it.
My favorite scene was the Dogfish scene, which is very close to the end. I thought the way that it worked was so clever.
The Dogfish is an interesting one because it has to look massive. Obviously, we couldn't build it at the scale it was. It'd be bigger than this building. So we built the biggest puppet that we could still animate, and it turned out to be about 3.5 feet long. So we put a lot of detail into it because we knew we were going to get very close to it, and it had to hold up.
There was a time in exploration where explorers would draw the marvels of the sea, exaggerated and more whimsical. We took from that period of design.
It's coming for us! Quick!
The stop motion water is very, very difficult. So we decided not to try and tackle it practically. We came up with a digital solution, but we made that fit into the language of our film.
Papa! You're alive!
Pinocchio! Oh, my Pinocchio.
The most challenging animation in this film wasn't the big spectacles, wasn't the big action scenes. It was really the emotional moments between Geppetto and Pinocchio. Getting those just right and getting them to feel honest. We worked really hard on that.
We proposed the idea that animators are not animators that execute, but actors that animate. We urged them to think through the puppet, to not do an action, to avoid pantomime, and to give us real acting.
We tried to find animators who were compatible with certain characters, and as people start shooting, you find them, you say, oh, that person's really got Pinocchio down. That's our Pinocchio.
Performing in an animation rather than a live action, it can be different. If you're in a live action, you have the scene around you and you have the costume and the makeup. But when you're just behind the microphone, you have to use everything your voice can do to bring the energy into it and the different vibe.
I'm made of flesh and bone and meaty bits. I'm a real boy.
We wanted to shoot characters listening and receiving and thinking, moments that are normally not shot in animation, moments that have the character alone changing a thought in silence, characters making mistakes, as we all do in life.
Hit it, boys. You want to think bright. You want to think right. A star falling down, down, down doesn't break the night.
We found a couple of animators who were very good at doing song and dance. There's a sequence at the end with cricket dancing, and we worked with a choreographer from New York and choreographed that whole thing. She did a fantastic job. Some of the other scenes, we didn't completely choreograph them out because there were so many little bits in them that we knew we wanted to do. We wanted to, he has to smash these bottles with a hammer, and he has to run up this broom and catch onto this rope. That evolved a little bit more organically as we went.
What is that?
Papa!
One of the shots that I love to point out was Pinocchio entering the church the first time. Amongst the pews. It's so beautiful to see Pinocchio transit from an area of light that reflects a window that is off screen, an area of darkness that reflects the edifice, and then again another area of light across all the pews with all the puppets there, with the church there. It's so beautiful to see you light so detailed.
And that was one of the first sets that we set up. The first time we set up was when Carlo goes into the church for the first time. We had this very warm light coming into the church. When Pinocchio enters the church, we wanted it to be much more austere. So we reversed what we did with Carlo. So our light coming through the stained glass windows was much cooler.
In a live action movie, you would have the lights standing behind the camera on C-stands. In this instance, you're animating the lights. You're animating the shapes that you put in front of the lights. You have to mechanize all that and control all that to do several passes.
He's a puppet, just a puppet.
No, I'm not.
Of all the art forms of animation, to me the most sacred and magical is a stop motion, because it's the bond between an animator and a puppet.
I worked on this film for about 5 years. There's a lot of preparation that goes in, and good animators spend even more time preparing to do a shot than they do actually shooting it.
There is an absolute pure emotion there. I think with Pinocchio that I love is the idea of it embodying any 4-year-olds that are balls of energy that nobody can control.
Boy, the carnival sure is grand.
I hope you enjoyed going behind the animation. Make sure to check out Pinocchio, only on Netflix.